Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Zoom class. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, Chapter 4, Confidential Reasons for the Appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We'll do text 42, 43, and 44. So we'll start with text 42. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Janavallabha Ivadadari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Ivadadari, Yashodanandana Vadajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vadajanaranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radhama Dava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari, Yashodanandana Vadajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vadajanaranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Radhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Radhajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya Om Vishnu Pad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Stotara Satyasri Madhus Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Stotara Satyasri Madhus Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Anant Koti Vaishnavinya Ki Jai Nama Acharya Siddhaidas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपना श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय मायापुर धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari 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 Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to the Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Panaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhakti Jeta Swami Namani. Namaste Krishna Prabhupada Tatmani. Sri Gaura Karani Shakti Bhakti Jeta. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna. Jaya. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 4, text 42. Dasya Saka Vatsala Araye Singara Chari Prema Chatuvida Bhakta Iadara Dasya Saka Vatsala Araye Singara Chari Prema Chatuvida Bhakta Iadara Dasya Sakya Vatsala Araye Singara Chari Prema Chatuvida Bhakta Adara. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Mother Gita can't sing today, so anybody else that wants to follow, you can do that now.
दास्य सख दास्य सख्य वात्सल्य आर्य श्रृंगार चारी प्रेम चतुर्विधा भक्त ही आधार हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Dasya Shakya Vachala Araye Shingara Chari Prema Chatur Vidya Bhakti Adara Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
दास्य साख्य वात्सल्य आर्य श्रृंगार चारि प्रेम चतुर्विधा भक्त ई आधार. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay. Word for word. Dasya, servitude. Sakya, friendship. Vatsalya, parental affection. Ada, and ye, that. Shingara, conjugal love. Shari, four types. Prema, love of God. Chatuvidha, four kinds. Bhaktai, devotees. Adhara, the containers. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Four kinds of devotees are the receptacles of the four kinds of mellows in love of God, namely servitude, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. Text 43. Nija nija bhava savi shreshta karimane nija bhave kare Krishna sukha ashwadane. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Each kind of devotee feels that his sentiment is the most excellent, and thus in that mood he tastes great happiness with Lord Krishna. Text 44. Tatasta iyamane vicharaya dikari sabarasa hoite singare adika madhuri. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. But if we compare the sentiments in an impartial mood, we find that the conjugal sentiment is superior to all others in sweetness. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. No one is higher or lower than anyone else in transcendental relationships with the Lord. For in the absolute realm, everything is equal. But although these relationships are absolute, there are also transcendental differences between them. Thus, the transcendental relationship of conjugal love is considered the highest perfection. Oma Ginati Mirandasya, Gyana Ganashilakaya, Chakshu Umbilitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaisnavam Cha. Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam. Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamcha. E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kantana Mustate. Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vindavandeshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Panamami Hari Priya. Vanchakalpaturu Vishcha Kripa Sindhi Evacha Tita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravana Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunnivari Praschatiyadi Chitanami. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachashe Namaha. Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himabhi Vichavishindaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So, in text 42, the translation is, four kinds of devotees are the receptacles of the four kinds of mellows in love of God, namely servitude, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. Text 43. Each kind of devotee feels that his sentiment is the most excellent, and thus in that mood he tastes great happiness with Lord Krishna. Text 44. But if we compare the sentiments in an impartial mood, we find that the conjugal sentiment is superior to all others in sweetness. Hare Krishna. So, there is some explanation here of the mellows, the rasas, that are in Golokam Vrindavan especially. In the other planets, which means the other Vaikuntha planets, the devotees serve Lord Narayan in awe and reverence. But in the highest planet, the one that's farthest away, it's called Krishna's planet, Krishna Loka Goloka Vrindavan. There's more variety in the relationships. Relationships are something that we live with. Even it's described nicely, Srila Prabhupada describes it in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, the third text. It says, every living entity, beginning with the firstborn living being, Lord Brahma, every being within the material world, all the way down to the insignificant ant, everybody desires some sort of taste derived from the sense perceptions. We use the senses. The overwhelming majority of people use it for sense gratification, but they want some sort of taste from the senses. The very obvious one is the tongue, which we use to taste different types of preparations. And we very much like to taste ones that we like, and we even sometimes discriminate. This one I like, this one I don't like, and so on. So Srila Prabhupada explains that this sort of taste, the essential, the pleasures, are technically called rasas. So ras is a pleasure, a type of pleasure based on a relationship. That's just in general. So there are different varieties, different kinds. And this text starts here, 42, talking about four main ones, which are all prevalent in the spiritual world, particularly in Golok Vrindavan. The servitorship, the friendship, the parental, and the conjugal. There's actually more than that, but these four main ones are the ones that are being described here. Actually, the revealed scriptures say that there are 12 varieties of rasas. There's rasas, some may be a little surprising, but there are ways in which it happens. Rodra or anger, Adbhuta or wonder, Shringara, which is conjugal love, which we talked about as one of those. Hasya, which is comedy. Veera, chivalry. Daya, mercy. Dasya, servitorship. Sakya, friendship or fraternity. Bhayanak, which is horror or ghastliness. And Vibatsa, shock. And two more, Santa, neutrality. Vatsalya, parenthood. And Srila Prabhupada explains that you put all of them together, the sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. Now, the primary ones, because this is 12 together we went through, the primary ones are the ones that are being talked about here. Service, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. There's also neutral, Santa, or sometimes it's described as adoration, which gives a hint of those in Santaras how they see things. Santaras is neutrality, like grass, door, river, those kind of things. Buildings, but everything is alive in the spiritual world. Everything is alive. So even though when you hear these mentions of a door and so on, doesn't mean that they are just totally disconnected. They are aware. The soul senses can perceive. They are interchangeable. Our eyes can see, but in the spiritual world, the eyes can taste. As the Lord actually does it here. That's the understanding we have. When we offer Bhoga to the Supreme Personality of Godhead through Guru, we offer what we cook. Then in the end, after we close the offering, we see that it's turned to prasadam, but it looks the same. The Lord can eat and finish it, or he can smell and not take the same place as eating, or you can look at it and also be satisfied like that, because his senses are interchangeable. So the love is expressed mainly, the main signs are the service, friendship, parental affection, and madhurya or conjugal love. Now, and if we add the Santa to it, the adoration or the neutral one, then we got 5 main ones. Now, Srila Prabhupada says that when these 5 are absent, then love is present indirectly in anger, in wonder, in comedy, chivalry, fear, shock, the rest of them, the rest of this, the 7. When the primary one's not there, the other ones are considered secondary. Sounds technical, but hopefully with the help of Prabhupada and my Guru Maharaj, we'll be able to break it down a little more. So, for example, when a man is in love with a woman, that rasa is called conjugal love. The woman loves the man back, the man loves the woman back. Now, when this love affairs get disturbed in some kind of way, then the other ones kick in. Sometimes it may be wonder, sometimes it may be anger, sometimes it may be shock, sometimes it may be horror, depending on how things take place. In Kali Yuga, where there's so much quarrel going on in this particular age, even in relationships between husband and wife, sometimes there's disagreement and it winds up being quarrel, it winds up being anger, somebody gets shocked, or even horrified when the things are taken too far. But they're all part of the relationship, though. We don't like to deal with those kind of things, but the fact is we have to admit they are there. So, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar Devotion. Srila Jiva Goswami describes a little more, and it's kind of related to what we talked about already. The 5 divisions, even though this particular text 42 talks about 4 out of the 5, because those ones involve direct relationship with especially the rasas with Krishna, direct relationship with Krishna. To be serving Krishna or serving the devotees of Krishna. You're servant of a servant of a servant. So that is servitorship, friendship. You can have a friend, become a friend of Krishna, or a parent of Krishna like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, or conjugal love like the gopis, the cowherds, all for that matter, the supreme conjugal love, lover, that is Srimati Radharani. So the indirect ecstasies are the 7 that we talked about earlier. Now, when we are slowly, so we are conditioned souls, unless the superior devotees and superior devotees among us don't ever tell us they are pure devotees anyway. So, assuming all of us are, or most of us are conditioned souls. When we offer service, transcendental devotional service, We start first with liberation from material bondage. That's called the Santa or the neutral state. That was the one that was not included here in the text itself. But that's what Srila Prabhupada describes in the introduction part of Srimad Bhagavatam. The self-realization state, we are not the body, Aham Brahmasmi, we are souls, and where we are is not home. This is a material world, is actually a house of correction. Our home is where we don't use these subtle or physical bodies anymore, and we have the soul having expanded into its fullness, and in our relationship with the Lord, there's a particular relationship being one of these. We know that we may not even know it theoretically, but we begin to practice through the spiritual master's instruction the life of liberation, staying away from material bondage. In other words, not taking material sense gratification as the all in all, and even making a good attempt to stay away from it, and training the mind and the senses to stay away from material things in the association of devotees who are also doing the same thing so that they can help each other. Like that. So liberation, then the person is in that stage, neutral stage. Now, after that, when there's more development of transcendental knowledge of the Lord's internal potencies and opulences, Srila Prabhupada then describes the devotee begins to engage himself more in the dasya, the servant stage. That means there's more of a point where now a person has understood quite a bit about himself, he's not the body, and so on. It's gone from that to a stage where material things are necessary but not important. Only transcendental or spiritual is important. Material things that are needed to be done, we do it because we have these physical bodies. And it has to be taken care of. We have to live here until the time that we leave. And so we do what's necessary. But the mind knows that we have to concentrate on being trained to be Krishna conscious. And we'll be Krishna conscious part of the time until we get to the point where we'll be Krishna conscious a good bit of the time, then overwhelmingly we'll be Krishna conscious. With very little attention given to material, just what's necessary. So when the person develops that transcendental knowledge and says, I am Das Anudas, the servant of a servant of a servant of Krishna. That's the Dasya stage. That's the stage that many people here in this movement we get trained to get to as soon as possible. Spiritual Master especially helps us to move in that stage, get to that stage quickly. Now, from that stage, development of the Dasya stage, then a respectful fraternity, friendship with the Lord develops. Then above that feeling, there is friendship, this, equal terms becomes a little manifest. Now, that's the stage, which is the Sakya stage, or devotional service in friendship. That's the stage that Arjuna was at. So we're talking about, actually, that's quite high. But it is possible. Nothing is prevented at all from us. Nothing. We can rise to all those stages. Now, somebody says, well, I've maintained my humility and I'd like to be the servant of a servant of a servant. That's all right. But the relationship will sweeten when our love also becomes greater and greater for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you'll find yourself, the person who's in that stage finds himself talking about the Lord in a friendship type. They'll begin, even at this stage, to make comments that indicate that there's some sort of friendship, loving sentiments developing in the devotee. That does happen when you put your mind to devotion service. Now, above that stage is even closer, parental affection towards the Lord. That's called the Vatsalya stage. And above this is the stage of conjugal love, the stage that's called the highest stage of love. Now, Sri Prabhupada says, even though it's called that way, there's no difference in quality in any of the above stages. It is also confirmed in the next text, the text 43, that says that even though these stages of love of God is there, anyone in that stage, whatever stage that they're in, feels that they have the super excellent stage. Now, that answers a very, very important question, because sometimes we hear, oh, the gopis of Vrindavan, they have the highest love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And the question comes up, well, what about those who are in the spiritual world, but not having the conjugal love? They're not in that conjugal state. They don't relate to Krishna that way. What happens to them? If they know that the highest stage of love is the conjugal stage, do they wish that they were there in that conjugal state? You have a parental or friendship stage or dasya, servant stage, and then there are others in the spiritual world that are in the madhurya or conjugal level, like boyfriend, girlfriend type stage. Would these other people wish that, other entities wish that they were in that stage? The question has been answered. Every stage of development of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whatever the stage is, the person that's there or the personality that's there feels like they are in the best stage. So conjugal is felt to be the best stage, but somebody that's dasya also feels that that's the best thing for them. Therefore, the question of envy of those in the conjugal never comes up. It never comes up. But it's also explained that the whole service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in love is voluntary. And it is possible for one who is in one stage of love of Godhead to change to another stage, depending on what they want to do. But it's not because they think that stage that they change to is higher. No, it's because that the pastime that's supposed to happen maybe requires somebody to play a particular role, and they play that role voluntarily. So Papa says the entire thing is voluntary, whatever role they play. So there's that sweetness. It's all about love and how to make the service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in love work out wonderfully. That's all that matters. So can people go between different stages? The answer is yes. But the stage that they are, they feel is the best. They don't ever envy another stage or wanting to be in another stage. The Krishna doesn't stop it. You can be in whatever stage. But the important thing is the question of envy of this person in a different state never comes up. So even those in the Santa stage or neutrality, they don't envy anybody in the other stages. Therefore, things flow very nicely in the spiritual world. There's wonderful internal harmony, all based on love. Now, so the devotees follow or certain actions that they do based on the rasas that they're in. And that is discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, Text 10. Srila Prabhupada discusses. So, the person who is the servitor, the dasya stage, they develop up to the stage of adherence, very much attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My master, whatever it takes for service, I will do it. That's the stage that they get to. Mm. Now, the one that is in the Sakya stage, friendly stage, that devotee develops up to the stage of following. And it's not difficult to figure that out if you know more about the pastimes of the cowherd boys in Vrindavan. When they get up in the morning, they're all thinking how to get ready and get out of their houses and go to Krishna's house with Krishna Balarama there and be with them. And then they go to herd the cows and they have fun times. They follow Krishna. They follow Balaram. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, they go home. They are with their parents and their family members. They may think of Krishna, but they are with their family members. And the next day, again, let's go play. They follow Krishna because they get to have a good time with them. Sometimes they do mock fighting and all kinds of things like that with the cowherd boys. And Krishna is their hero, especially in Vrindavan when Kamsa was sending so many demons and he was getting rid of them. Every time he killed a demon, the love from the cowherd boys and their admiration grew. Krishna is our hero. There's nothing he cannot do. Mm-hmm. But then he looks like them in size and everything. So then they just play with them and they enjoy lunch together. Mm-hmm. Basically, every day is their kind of party. Mm-hmm. And then they come home. So that stage is a state of following the Lord. Parental case is also like that. So it involves following. Mm-hmm. When they're home, when Krishna and Balaram are home, then the parents do this, do that, do that. Where is Krishna? What is he doing now? What does he need? So in a sense, they are parenting Krishna, but they are also following Krishna. Because everything that they do at home is based on what Krishna wants and how Krishna will be saved. And because they don't know the Supreme Personality of Godhead in control of everything, but how he will be saved and how he will not get hungry and feeding the best things. For example, Mother Yashoda would give Krishna milk. Of course, their own breast milk was there, but milk from the cows were also used in milk preparations. And they got the best. He and Nanda Maharaj made sure that they got the best milk that they could get from the cows. There was a whole science to it as to how they got the best milk for Krishna. So Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj were very particular in making sure that Krishna was all right. At any stage, they wanted to know. So even if Krishna and Balaram were not with them, with the parents, then the parents were always thinking about what they're doing, where they are. Is it time to come back? And if they haven't come back from the fields, then either Mother Rohini or Mother Yashoda would go, and it's time to come back. So every time, the whole life is like that, following Krishna's program. When he has to do things until he goes to bed in the evening. And that's every day. Now, the conjugal love, the Madhurya Ras, that stage is a stage, Srila Prabhupada has described this, and he said, we can never really understand this. So I'm going to quote it just like he said. The conjugal love developed ecstasy up to the stage of intense feelings of separation from the Lord. When the Lord is not around, like when he had to leave Vrindavan and go with Akrura and him and Balaram, they went to Mathura. That was a blow to all the residents, especially those in the conjugal love, the gopis. Some of them put their bodies on the road where the Kamsa's chariot was at, that if Christians, you're going to leave, we'd rather die. Let the chariot just run over us and kill us. We can't see you, we don't want to do anything. The same gopis have also blamed Lord Brahma. Why did you create us so that we have eyelashes that blink? And when we blink, that time we're blinking, we cannot see Krishna. How come? What kind of creation is that? Even the gopis, they are that particular. And love and separation, Srila Prabhupada says, is the greatest feeling. It is even greater than when Krishna appears. This is how Srila Prabhupada described it. Okay, again, for those of us, myself included, not in that stage, we can only imagine. But when somebody is in love with another person and that person is troubled, there is intense thinking. When would that person come? And when would I be with them again? And that feeling is a very, very intense feeling that the conjugal lovers have more so than the other rasas. So then Krishna explained it that way. I mean, Srila Prabhupada explained it that way. It is a problem. Our problem is that we are not as connected with Krishna. Krishna is our most intimate master. He can be a friend, father or son, object of conjugal love, all of that's there. But we in the material world have created so many objects of questions and answers, and none of them give us complete satisfaction. Why? Because we've forgotten about Krishna, we've forgotten about the wonderful relationship that's there between us and Krishna. So Papa gave an example of friendship. So two people can be friends, very close friends. But as we know in this Kali Yuga, anything can happen to cause the relationship to be strained. It can happen at any time. Sometimes the friends make up, sometimes they don't. And that's the way it is in the relationships here. But Srila Prabhupada explained that when one is a friend of Krishna, that relationship never breaks. Krishna is the excellent, and he is the most wonderful friend. So that relationship of friendship never had its problems of, oh, now I'm not a friend anymore, or sometimes permanently they stop the relationship. Never with Krishna. He's the best friend. He's the best at everything. So I have a friend like that, he's the best friend. And when we look at the life of Arjuna as a friend, how Krishna was there in all situations and helped them and even played menial roles just to maintain the friendship between himself and the Pandavas. And when it came to the Kurukshetra war, he rode the chariot. He was the chariot driver for Arjuna, out of love for Arjuna. So he's the best in all relationships. And every one of us are is in one of those categories of relationship with Krishna. Every one of us. And we have our own relationship like that with Krishna. So every one of us has a special relationship with Krishna in one of those rasas, in one of those relationships. So we are suffering in the material world because we have opted to leave this wonderful relationship thinking that we could be controllers ourselves. So, sorry, got distracted. Everything here in the material world just gives only temporary satisfaction, if that at all. So all things except the relationship with Krishna would give temporary satisfaction. So if we are to have complete satisfaction, we have to take to everything about Krishna. Question and answers have to be about Krishna. For example, in the situation of Sutta Goswami describing what happened between Maharaj Pariksit and Sukadev Goswami, their conversation which brought about Srimad Bhagavatam. At some point, there was the description by Sukadev Goswami of the episode which happened between him, Maharaj Pariksit, and Shringi which is the son of a Brahmin, and the Brahmin himself, Shamaka. In fact, we are close. We're still reading something about that. That's where we are in Srimad Bhagavatam. Hmm? Now, when it got to that stage, the sages asked Sutta Goswami, can you give us a little bit more description about what happened? But they put a condition there. And the condition was, tell us about these three, Maharaj Pariksit, Shringi, and Shamaka Rishi, if what you're going to tell us somehow connects to Krishna. We're going to hear it if Krishna is part of this. Hmm? So we have displaced our love because we're forgetting Krishna. And Nectar of Devotion describes that Krishna is the root. When we satisfy the root of the tree, all places in the tree are satisfied. This is how the gopis look at relationship with Krishna. Because in Krishna's pastimes in the 10th canto, there was a time Krishna blowing his flute, the gopis came in the middle of a night in the forest. They saw Krishna. Krishna asked them to go back because it was dangerous to be in the forest at that time of night. There were big animals on the prowl looking for prey. And we are young. It's not a good idea as far as etiquette goes for a young boy and young girls to be, at night in the forest by themselves. So he came up with all of these, etiquette type points to tell the gopis to go. First, they thought he was kidding. Then he said some more, and then the moods changed. And he said, Krishna, we came to you. We know you're the supreme. You've said all of these things which arguably are true, but the fact is, when we surrender ourselves at your lotus feet to relate to you, for you to do whatever you want with us, because you are the supreme and are present in the hearts of all living entities, coming to you, everything else is satisfied. This is just a paraphrasing of how the gopis put it when they talk back to Krishna. So when we water the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree are satisfied. Sri Prabhupada says when we take prasadam, it goes to our stomach, all parts of our bodies are nourished. And Krishna is the root of a tree. So when we relate to Krishna, train ourselves, listen to the spiritual master, go through things that we need to go through according to the directions given in order to develop our love for Krishna. When we do that, everything else will fall in place as far as our love goes. We will naturally love all living entities. So the gopis were saying that all we have to do is connect with you. And so we've come to you. It doesn't matter where we are or what time it is, we're relating to you, so everything else we know is going to be all right. That should be our attitude. And speaking about that, there was a t-shirt, regular t-shirt. This was in Washington, D.C. One of my godbrothers was wearing it. And there were some words on the t-shirt. It says, now that we've tried everything else, let's try God. That's what it said. Now that we've tried everything else, let's try God. Of course, for a devotee, we can change it slightly and say, now that we've tried everything else, let's try Krishna. So our conclusion is, we should, as Krishna is saying, do exactly what he says. Give in to Krishna. Give in to Krishna and stop worrying. Because when we do that, then the internal happiness and relief, they come almost instantaneously. We have to train this mind to give in to Krishna. The fact is, we have lived life always deciding we have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. But we never think that, Krishna, please use my mind to run the day as you see it. And mean it when we say that prayer. And then go about our day. Then Krishna takes over, life is a lot easier and a lot more manageable. than ourselves trying to figure out whatever we need to do on a daily basis. So Krishna says surrender. Give in to Krishna. And when we give in to Krishna, we have to stop worrying. Because Krishna is the Supreme Personality. There's nothing he cannot do. My Guru Maharaj likes to put it, Bhakti Maharaj, on our own, what can we do? On our own, what can we do? But when we are backed by Krishna, what can we not do? So it's a very powerful statement to have us train this mind to understand Krishna is the source of everything. Whatever you're doing, including the physical body, he created all of that. So if you just surrender to Krishna, where is the worry? And if we don't worry, then relief immediately comes. And with relief comes happiness. And our relationships will also improve. Because a person who is internally happy, a person that's relieved, usually the way they relate is a very nice way. Anxiety as a minimum is at a minimum or even non-existent. So we should ask ourselves in everything we're doing, is what I'm doing helping my relationship with Krishna? Is what I'm doing helping my relationship with Krishna? Now, Srila Prabhupada elsewhere in the scriptures, he said, when you mention Krishna, it means Krishna himself, his devotees, and the spiritual master. So Krishna in a holistic way is what I'm doing helping my relationship with the Supreme Lord, with my spiritual master, and with the other devotees. Yes, then good. No, then it means we have to stop. This is what Srila Rupa Goswami has put in this way: accept all things favorable to devotional service and reject those things that are not favorable to devotional service. And that's why the sages wanted to hear about Maharaj Pariksit and Shringi and Shamaka Rishi on condition that what happened between them had a connection with Krishna. Otherwise, they were not interested. So that should be our attitude. Everything we're doing, is it connecting with Krishna? If the answer is not, no, stop it. And at the very least, when there's no particular wonderful relationship going on, the best thing that we can do is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We can always connect with Krishna through the mantra which says, please allow me to do devotional service to you. So the mantra also puts us not only in remembrance of Radha Krishna, but also of our duty of devotional service in love with Krishna, whatever ras that we're in at this time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you, dear devotees, for coming for this class. Hearing is wonderful, but discussion is even better. So, devotees, if you would kindly unmute yourself, let's have a conversation about Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai. Anyone?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance of Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I was able to hear bits and pieces of it, but at least a good chunk of it. Thank you so much for a wonderful class of powerful verses, powerful verses. When you were speaking about the four rasas, one question that was coming to my mind is that sometimes we try to get ourselves in the different rasas, whether it be friendship, lover, parent, and servant. But with that in mind, where does commitment come into play with the rasa? So is it just a rasa and then it's like in the mind, it's like a fantasy. Sometimes I think we don't quite get it, like, I'm, like I'm a servant of the Lord, but it's like a fantasy, it's like a mind. It's not like really, sometimes it lacks depth. So where does commitment come, or does commitment come into the play of the four rasas?
The short answer, commitment to play, whether it comes into play, the answer is yes. The commitment is automatic. When a person is loving another person, they think about that person, they want to do things with that person, so they're committed to that person. That comes automatically. We are being trained now how to commit, and therefore I can see how you asked that question. We are being trained now because we stopped our commitment to Krishna, wanting to be committing to ourselves, and then we got put in the material world to try to commit to ourselves and everything else that was here, and we never really get satisfied. If there's some satisfaction, it's a low-level satisfaction, and it's also for a while, and then it stops. Things change all the time in the material world. So yes, in relating to Krishna, when we begin to get even trained, this Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, Bhakti, devotional service from training, that's when we have to learn to commit. Because you see, we're not used to doing that. We're used to doing things ourselves. And so when we then get into that mood by obeying the spiritual master guides us to the point where now our commitment increases and increases to the point where we do things naturally. And the commitment is this then part of our way in which we relate to devotees, we relate to Guru, and we relate to Krishna in the daily form. Hare Krishna. Hopefully that's satisfactory. Jai. Mother Gita, Jai, please accept my humble obeisances. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, August.
Jai.
God. When you were talking about the rasas, is it okay if I share my personal experience?
Oh, yes, please go on.
Okay, so I was new in Krishna consciousness, and based on the instructions of my spiritual master, I had started giving Bhagavad Gita classes. And a senior devotee used to attend those classes. And so in one of the classes, he asked me in front of all the new people, in which rasa are you? So I froze for a few seconds, and then I said, I don't know. I just started and I don't know. And he chastised me and he said, you're supposed to know in which rasa you are. And I said, okay, I'll work on it.
Wow. Well, many of us don't know the rasas, the original rasas in the spiritual world. We don't know.
Can I
It
share?
gets, yes, go ahead. Go ahead, go ahead.
Mother Gita triggered something in my mind from Giriraj Swami. Yeah, Giriraj Swami one time was asked the same question, about, what is your rasa with the Lord? And Giriraj Swami answered, no. This devotee asked Giriraj Swami, what should be my rasa? How do I know what it is? And Giriraj Swami said, our rasas are all das anudas. That's how he put it.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was actually going to answer around the same way that for now, we are trained to be servant. And the reason that we are to look at ourselves as servants, and even servants of the devotees, servants of a servant, servant of a guru, guru is a servant of his guru, so then we serve guru, we are serving the servant. Because our egos got in the way of us wanting to be at the level of Krishna, envying Krishna, and therefore we were put in the material world. Therefore, to turn that feeling around, we have to learn humility. And one of the best things in humility is to look at ourselves as Krishna being the supermost, the master of all, and us being servants, so that we don't go back to the spiritual world and think that we'll be at Krishna's level again. Same problem. Also, the same reason why Srila Prabhupada many times chastises verbally the Mayavadis, because they think, oh, in the beginning when I'm studying Vedanta, I'm not at the level of Narayana. At some point, I'm going to be at the level of God. But they haven't created anything. So how can they be God? They cannot show universal form. Well, how can they be God? Hmm? But they think that way. So yes, for us to develop humility, since we have been envious, our position now, whatever the position in our relationship with Krishna is in the spiritual world, for now, we're learning to serve so that we are mentally put back in our situation as Krishna is the master and we are servants. So for us, it's service. As servants, that matters. But it's also, speaking about that, a more humble position to put oneself in compared to the religions. Because the religion, especially the Christian religion, will tell you we are all children of God. But from the point of view of Krishna being the creator, yes, we are. But from the point of view of service, relating to Krishna, being Das and Dasi, servant, is a more elevated position because you give your heart to serving the master rather than being a child, because a child can make demands. Mommy, I want this. My daddy, I want this, and so on. Devotees don't think that way. We think in terms of how we can give ourselves in service, use our energies to serve without expecting anything. Mm-hmm. From that, you can develop love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead a lot quicker that way. For those of us conditioned souls learning now to become purer. So I've always thought that the servant position, the Das and Dasi position, is definitely superior because it helps us to develop humility. Where when the person's out, you're the child of so and so, then it means that, oh man, I have some rights as a child to getting things from my parents. And that's why the prayers from them are also prayers in demanding, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. Whereas the person that's a servant saying, I'm just here to assist, to serve in any way that you want. Hmm? Then personally, I think it's a more powerful position to be in, servant. Hare Krishna. Any other comments?
Yes, further to that conversation, I thought about it and I said, I consider Krishna as my father.
Yes.
And he chastised me more. He said, that kind of rasa doesn't exist where Krishna is your father and you are the child. And then I thought maybe I should keep quiet.
Mother, I think that guy needs help, Mother.
Well,
I think the guy needs help.
Yes, because he's creator, he's a supreme father. But our relationships are described in the rasas as was said here, and of course, said in these texts that we read. Hmm? So we are better off sitting at the servant type relationship. Hmm? We're not Nanda Maharaj yet. But even Nanda Maharaj is playing the role of father. So Krishna is one without a second. So Hare Krishna. Thank you for bringing that out too. The best thing for all devotees to stay with mentally is, I am the servant, serving the devotees. My happiness is there, and it is true. The happiness comes from serving devotees and serving the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother Gita. Any other comments or questions or takeaways? If not, then thank you very much for having this wonderful discussion at the end of this class. And this is the end of Fridays. Have a nice, wonderful weekend wherever you are. Krishna conscious weekend. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhvi evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna jai.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare
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 Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.